Hey YouTubers and gamers, and I'm back with the last installment of my PlayStation 1 collection. Now the first three videos, as I've mentioned before, they're all my PAL UK games. But however, I have got some obviously North American exclusives, some cheaper versions of North American games which are much cheaper than getting the UK versions, and also I've got some probably about another 35 or 40 Japanese games. There are but another 15 to 20 other Japanese games on my want list, which I hope to get hopefully in 2021, but some of them vary in price from about 15 quid up to about over the £100 mark, so some aren't particularly cheap, but that's my aim anyway. So without further ado, well, at the end of the video I'm going to save for last a Japanese game which is probably my most valuable PS1 game in my collection. It's probably one of my most valuable games, full stop, actually. So I'll save that as a treat to the very end, okay guys? Okay, so first of all, let's do with North American games, which are, you know, there's about 10 of those, so it's not much, but they tend to be exclusives and more interesting titles as opposed to just the generic ones. So I have Chrono, which we never got in Europe. And another game which is exclusive to the States and probably Japan, Countdown Vampires. This game has become, it's going up in price because it was partly because it's notorious in terms of voice acting, stupid plot, but it's also got mechanics very similar to Resident Evil. I think this is what, you know, definitely going to be one of those games that will be highly sought after in the future, definitely. And the price is already going up on this. One that a lot of people have heard of from Working Designs, Elemental Gearbolt. This is like a Panzer Dragoon type shooting type game, I believe. I've not got around to playing it yet, I have to confess. We also have here an exclusive, Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger on the PlayStation 1. So obviously the SNES game ported to a PS1. And it's all in English, of course. So that's a real bonus, more than anything else, really. This game is not worth much, but it's interesting. There's a game called Golden Nuggets, which you think is just a generic casino game. But it's actually got FMV sequences with the late Adam West, who obviously you may remember from the Batman TV series from the 70s. So, yeah, really cheesy, I know. But it's cheap as chips, but the main reason why I got that is because obviously Adam West. I don't think I'll get round to playing it. I don't know, I may do. Okay, a superhero game exclusive to the States. Hellboy. I guess Hellboy's kind of superhero, I suppose. Definitely a comic book character, anyway. This game it's not particularly very good. It's highly criticised, really, for poor play mechanics, but it is an American exclusive and we never got it in Europe. This game we did get in Europe, but it's gone up stupid amounts of money. Yeah, I'm not going to pay £50 for this when I've got this one for about £25 mark, and it's not particularly one of the poorest superhero games, and it's Iron Man Exo Man-O-War in heavy metal. So the American version is a much cheaper version to get than the PAL one. I showed the first Parasite Eve. Well, no, sorry. In the previous video, I showed Parasite Eve 2, which came out to Europe, but we didn't get the first one for whatever reason. But the first one was released in the States, so it's a 3-disc game. Classic RPG. Again, it's an American exclusive. This is Legend of Dragoon. This is unfortunately the Greatest Hits edition, but it doesn't look too bad with a little bit of green on the end there with all my black games. It was much cheaper than the first release, but it's all complete with everything all the same. And last but not least, Wild Arms 2. Another game we did get in Europe. Okay, that's my American titles. Now we're going to and I've finished collecting for American games. Next are my Japanese titles. Okay. This game, I think it did get an American release, but it's stupidly expensive. Astro Trooper Van Ark. It's playable still, although you might need a bit of a walkthrough to get through the initial bit. But when you go into the space shooting action scenes, it's perfectly playable, despite it being Japanese. But yeah, the American copy of this is really expensive. Beat 'em up game, Angel Eyes. I think it's an average beat 'em up game, although it's got some cutie type anime girls in it. Being a Resident Evil nut, I had to get the first game, so I got here Biohazard Director's Cut. It's all sealed with the OB, what they call them. Dirt cheap. Okay, I think this game, the sequel to this game, came out on the PS2, I believe. This is Brave Fencer Mushadin, however. It's a kind of 3D type, adventure type, not quite platforming game, but it's that sort of thing. It's a bit of an adventure game. Quite playable in English. I mean, playable for the English market. I got this game because it's based on the anime style, which is very similar to Gatchaman, and it's Boken to Ipatsu Dorombu. Let's just show that. You can just see that. You can see that sort of cheesy anime style. Gatchaman, or Battle of the Planets as it was known in England and the UK when it was brought over in the 80s, hugely popular, but I don't think this ever got released. But I think it's in the same family of animation style, because sometimes there's crossover games between the two characters, or two sets of IP, I believe. Okay. We had the first Clock Tower, and there's the sequel, Clock Tower 2. And I believe there might be even the third one as well, which I've not got yet. I think they may have got released in the States, but they're really expensive if they did. Okay, this is Final Fantasy produced a character called Chocobo, and I think there was a game Chocobo Racing, which may have got a European release, but it's really expensive. But there is a combination of Chocobo Racing and other games, which is a nice box set. You see here, it's all yellow packaging and everything else. It's Japanese exclusive. Yeah, not too. I don't think it was a crazy amount of money. Okay, another horror game. The first, Echo Night, followed by the second. Hang on, there's two. Was that the first or the second one I just showed? No, sorry, yeah, that was Echo Night 2. Sorry, and that's the first Echo Night. Okay, this game, again, was released in the States, stupidly expensive, but with Japanese copies, it's still just as playable, and it's much more affordable. Einhander. Really pleased to have that shooting game. I think people say it's a fantastic shooting game. It's okay, I wouldn't say it was the best out there, but ridiculously expensive these days. Okay, this game, in Japan it was called Gunner's Heaven. In Europe, what's it called? I don't remember what it's called now. Was it Total something? I can't remember now. But again, it's stupidly expensive in Europe. Even a Japanese copy of this isn't that cheap, but I'm glad to have it in a collection. And it plays fine with the Japanese copy, so you don't need to have an English copy to play this. So that's Gunner's Heaven. Is it Heavy Reload or something? I can't remember what it's called now. Okay, I'm a big fan of Godzilla, and this game's highly rated. Gamera 2000. It's Gamera's, I think, it's like a flying type monster, and you can play that character. So it's like It's almost like a shooter type game, but with, as a monster, I believe. Galaxian 3. Again, I don't know if it's got released in Europe and the States. It might have done, but if so, it's really expensive. Again, it's just a shooter, so go for a Japanese copy. It's much cheaper. Talk of Gatchaman, we have here Gatchaman. The shooting. And we have G. Darius. This did come with, got released in Europe. Again, it's not a cheap game. It comes with a pink cover, which is quite cool. But I think this artwork's really cool as well. Awesome, I think that is. It's complete with the OB. So again, plays just as well. So much cheaper version to go for. Alright, this game is another platforming type shooting type game with almost like beat 'em up elements really. Horned Owl. It's not an expensive game, and I think you can get away with it being in Japanese. This did get a European release, but that's stupidly expensive. The Japanese copy, not dirt cheap, but still much cheaper. In the Hunt from a Metal Slug artist and developer or whatever. And we have Metal Slug. Okay, with Mobile Suit Gundam and SD Gundam and the sort of general Gundam games, I've got quite a few of them. There's a shit ton of them. I think there's probably about 50 or something out of them. Probably not sure of that. I've gone for the better ones based on what research I've done into the Gundam games down on the PS1. So it's not an exclusive list by far, but it's one that has the best titles, most of which you can play being an English speaker, not Japanese speaker. So we have, before we go there, I'll just show this one, which I don't know if we've got a PAL release. Definitely did on a Dreamcast, and it's very expensive. But anyway, Jojo Bizarre Adventure. Yeah, this did get a PAL release on PlayStation 1, I believe, but it's expensive. Whereas a Japanese copy is much more affordable. That's a Bobby Map game. Yeah, so the other, going back to Mobile Suit Gundam, so we have here Mobile Suit SD Gundam G Generation. So this is one that has the sort of a miniaturized robots, which are kind of quite cute, really. Again, a lot of these SD Gundam games, most of them are really cheap. We have Mobile Suit Z Gundam. Then Mobile Suit Gundam. Quite nice artwork. And Mobile Suit Gundam version 2. Again, quite a cool artwork there. And Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack. I think this one plays a bit more like beat 'em up. A two-player beat 'em up type game. Right, this game, I think it may have got a Western release, but again, it's not particularly cheap, whereas the Japanese is much cheaper. Soma, space shooter. Japanese exclusive. Police Nauts on the PlayStation. Also got this on the Saturn. Alright, Parodius. I think we only got the first Parodius game in Europe. And that's stupidly expensive. So we have here we have Parodius Gokuku Parodius Star, which is like it's like a deluxe pack of the first, is it first couple games? Can't remember, but I think it's like a ultimate version of the game, with Parodius Power Wars, which I think plays like a top-down more of a RPG type game, which is not so easy to play. And another shooting game, Parodius Forever With Me. I also have there's another one which I'll show a bit later, Sexy Parodius. Okay, this game I just saw on eBay listing. It's quite an unusual one. It's PAQA, PACA or whatever, and it's based on it's a game software to help you to use the PlayStation Mini, which is that little, almost like Terragotcha type little PlayStation exclusive little machine type thing, memory card and mini console thing. Again, this game is, I say game software, it's dirt cheap. This is another novelty for a collection really. Okay, we have Rival Schools 1. Again, did get a Western release, but really expensive. I think it was a Western release. It definitely came out on the Dreamcast. And then we have Rival Schools 2 Project Justice. Again, the Japanese copy is a much cheaper way of getting the games. And we've got some more shooters. We have Raiden or Raiden DX Classic and Raiden Project. We have Ray Storm and Ray Crisis. I think one of these games, maybe Ray Crisis may have got a Western release, but it's nice to have this on the PlayStation. Sexy Parodius. Sorry. SD Gundam, another one of the little miniaturized type robots. And SD Gundam, Euden, Galaxian, Knights vs Musha. Which again, I think it's like a two-player type beat 'em up type one. Okay. Okay, we have Speed King. I think this may have got a Konami racing game. This plays perfectly well with the Japanese copy, and it's cheaper than the PAL or American copy. This game is definitely cheaper than the English or American copy, and that is Street Fighter. It's completely OB. Again, it's just based on the cheesy but still highly watchable Street Fighter movie. The game is so-so, but it's well worth having for the Street Fighter collection. Okay, we have also a really good shooter which was released I think in America on the PS1, but I don't think we got a PS1 release over here. It came out straight on the PS2, and that is Soul Divide, Atlas, and Psycho. One of my favourite shooters, Strikers 1945. Starblade Alpha, again cheaper than the Western release, and it plays pretty much okay. I do believe. Another one of my favourite games. Also got this on the Saturn. Tsukio Rentai, or also known as Terror Diver in the States. It's complete with the OB. A really classy shooting game. This is a PlayStation version, obviously. I've got the Saturn version. I do believe the PlayStation version is slightly better because it's got extra graphics or footage of some sorts, I believe, and it's got animation style going on in the background. and there's no, it hasn't got problems with slowdown. So I think the PlayStation version is the preferred one. Okay, I do have a first one of this, Believe on the Saturn, but we have a sequel, The Game Paradise 2, which is again the sort of a cartoony type, silly shooting type game. Again, this is sort of based on the anime very similar to Gatchaman, and that is Tatsunoko Fight. So it's quite a cool type fighting type game. Okay, gotta have this on PlayStation. Thunder Force 5, great shooting game. Okay, we have here a it's an interesting RPG. You do need a walkthrough through this for English speakers, but it's quite an interesting one. A really cool animation style, and that is, excuse me, Tenshi Dome. You can just make out the artwork on that. Tenshi Dome. Yeah, an interesting one. Not expensive, but certainly one of the interesting titles to have. Okay. Last but not least is my last game. This is like a, it's like a 2D. I say 2D. It's almost like a side platforming type game that turns into almost like one-on-one fighting segments in the boss battle bit sections. It's highly collectible. This game is very sought after. So, excuse the cat. Hello, Benny. How you doing, darling? You okay? Of course, spider cat. Sometimes she climbs everything. Anyway, back to the game. Now, this game, I bought probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and I did pay a pretty penny for it at the time. I think it was about between £150 and £170 mark, so it's one of the most expensive PS1 games I ever bought. But I knew it was, here comes the cat again, it was quite desirable. You're like a parrot, aren't you, Benny? Highly desirable. It is, Benny. And I'm really pleased to have this. Now, I checked on eBay yesterday, and believe it or not, there are some of these copies going for, I think the most expensive top price end was about £750, believe it or not, whereas the low end was about £450. So I've got this in a nice acrylic case, this game, because obviously it's the most probably valuable PS1 game I own. It's all complete, and it is The Adventure of Little Ralph. If you're interested, guys, just look on eBay, The Adventure of Little Ralph, and look at gameplay on this title. It may not be a best PS1 game on the planet, but it is a good platforming type game, and it's one that a lot of collectors, people collect for Japanese, are after, which is probably why these days it's quite expensive. I wouldn't say it was rare, because there are copies on eBay, but it's probably uncommon, which has helped keep the price inflated. So yeah, that's a gem in my collection. When I tell my daughter how much this is worth, she says, sell it, you can buy me loads of nice stuff. I love you, but I spend a fortune on you, but I'm not getting rid of this. No, that's again, I tell my wife, if I ever peg it, whatever you do, don't give away my games for next to nothing, because I've got some gems in the collection. Okie dokie. Okay, that's it. That's my Japanese and North American PS1 game collection so far. Like I said, there are about another between 15 and 20 PS1 games I want to get as well from Japan, which I will get eventually. There are some exclusive, interesting titles from Japan, and I think there's 1 or 2 games which are cheaper than PAL versions as well. But I think that's what's good, really. You have to diversify how you play these. And I do have a modded PS3, which is how I can play these PS1 games on, and so that helps me play both North American and Japanese games. Anyway, I digress. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you've made it this far, we appreciate your support. If you're new to our channel, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment or whatever. I always like comments and feedback and everything else, really. But until next time, guys, which will probably be a pickup video in about a few weeks' time. Until next time, take care and bye.